Okay, now let's begin. I would like to thank you for being in time from the very beginning. Also, thank you again for joining me today. My name is Sue. I am a senior project consultant at Bonad, and some of you might already be familiar with us. Bonad's China branch has been providing market insight and support to institutions, education groups, associations, and program providers with our on-the-ground knowledge and experience in Chinese education sector. Over the years, we've worked closely with the key stakeholder across the industry, helping them to navigate market shifts through data-driven insights. And today, I will be sharing the updated China agency map, along with some valuable market intelligence we gather throughout the data collection process. Before we share the map, I would like to start with a quick overlook of the market using data from Bonad International Education Platform, which our research team regularly updates. Now we are currently updating figures for the second quarter of 2025. So the chart you see on the right side, it's into the first quarter of this year. First, we can look at the student visa approvals. Why I put it here is because that those numbers shows the actual number of students who have successfully arrived in study destination. And the data covers all study level, main application only, offshore applicants only, and they exclude the visa extensions. So what we see is a fluctuation in visa approval across main study destination. We can see Australia and New Zealand steady growth. But overall, there were about 11,000 fewer student visa issued in Q1 2025 compared to Q1 2024 in this study destinations showed on the screen. And I think some of you already felt this. And Canada experienced a 21% drop from 2023 to 2024, mainly due to stricter visa policies include that 2-year cap on international student visa introduced in early 2024 to ease housing pressure. And this cap is expected to further tighten in 2025-26. And the UK, US also saw a decline of 6% and 10% respectively. The UK is holding up relatively well among the traditional English-speaking destination, also based on the intelligence provided by local agencies. And the chart below, looking at the visa grant rate, most countries except Canada have kept a stable approval rate quarter over quarter, which also helped to build a confidence among students and agencies. As one agency put it, our job is not done until the student boards the plan. And a great university doesn't matter if the visa doesn't come through. And that's the point. That's why we're taking a look at this visa grant rates. And then we can see that Australia's grant rate has gradually fallen, even if it's high and stable, but it's little by little fallen to 91%. And that for UK's also dropped to 93% in early 2025, compared to a 96% for India student at the same period. And at Bonad, I consulted with a lot of my colleagues. We don't really expect a significant growth from China moving forward. Students are increasingly exploring alternative options and regional study destinations. At this point, I would like to mention that other source markets are worth watching too. We also have the data on our platform. When I was doing this screenshot, I saw them. It was really nice to watch. But today we are focusing on China. So if you're interested, we can get in touch later. And speaking of this shift of destination, I would like to bring our first poll of today, if my colleague can help me here. It is about your expectation of majority of Chinese students study destination in the upcoming 12 months. I encourage all the audience to participate, to vote for your anticipation. We listed the so-called traditional top 4 and also European countries or Asia countries, or if you have other destination in mind. And on doing that, let's move on to the next slide. This is also a screenshot from the platform, and we showed university level enrollment figures across key study destinations. As expected, the most notable decline is the United States, which align with the visa data we just discussed. The UK, on the other hand, continues steady upwards trends. While its number may not surpass UK in the short term, we are talking about university level, of course. But UK still holds a comparative advantage, both in terms of visa consistency and promotional effort by Chinese agency, which we will touch on shortly. And what is very interesting is that Canada's university level enrollment hasn't shown a major decline, which suggests that the visa drop we were looking at previously is likely concentrated in non-university level applicants. And also, stately, we can see Australia and New Zealand in a rebound phase. That said, we are still discussing this context of China's position as a source market, even if we see some fluctuations. Much like one of our contact agency comment on the US as a study destination, he said, yes, the number has dropped for the US, but it is still the America. The appeal and the influence remain. And the same applies to China as source market. Even if the growth is slowing down, but the market scale is still significant, it would not be a totally wise idea to abandon effort in China market entirely. Instead, now what educators need to consider is how can we reduce cost and promote our institution more precisely to the right students. When our Bona China team spoke with agencies across the country, whether they focus on higher education or study tours, the message was consistent. This year is a tough year. And most commonly cited reason is economic pressure. And that's why we would like to guide you a quick look at the broader economic landscape in China, because it directly impacts how students and families may make their decision about study abroad. No doubt China's GDP is still growing, but the pace is slowing down. And to better understand the level of money to spend in our pocket, we can have a look at the per capita disposable income. It rose by 6.3% in 2023, dropped to 5.3 in 2024, and then tracking at a 5.5 in Q1 this year, slightly lower, still slightly lower than the same period last year, 2024. And that said, there is an interesting silver lining. The spending on education, culture, and entertainment, this is a general category, and this spending grew nearly 10% on a year-on-year in 2024. Only second to essentials goods like groceries or householding items. So we can understand that while people are becoming more cautious about spending money, families still see education as a priority. And comparing the urban resident versus rural, we can see that middle-class urban families, which make up the core of study abroad market, are experiencing a slower growth, which lead them to be more value conscious. They're tightening budgets and thinking more carefully about their decision before making a big financial commitment. Another important factor is youth and employment. I think most of you in the audience has also heard about that from your agency or your network from China market. This is really a growing concern in China. While the overall employment is stable at around 5% this year, the rate for 16 to 24 years old jumped to 18.8% in mid-2024, by far the highest across all age groups. Even young professionals who are aged around 25 to 29 are seeing a rate of 7% as of May 2025. And this pressure, they are changing what family prioritize. We see three clear trends recently is that career outcome matter more than ever. And family are asking, will this degree help my child get a job? what are the internship or work opportunity, or how this experience gonna help my kid in his future career. And there is a demand for short career-focused program, especially in postgraduate education. We're seeing growth interest in practical, skill-based training. And another observation is that some middle-income families are choosing shorter English program abroad that offer more flexible, cost-effective path, sometimes even linked to work or migration opportunity. So while China's market still holds strong long-term potential, value, career, relevance, and flexibility are now the key decision drivers. And understanding that shift will eventually help you better align your strategy in the evolving landscape. Before we move on to the next slides, maybe we can bring up the poll result here. Thank you. Let's see if you can see it on the screen just like I do. I see a 43% voting for the UK and 50% considering Asia. And also we have 20% for Europe, 20% for Australia, a 16% for USA, and 13% for Canada. And I would love to say that this is relatively the same rate that the answer we get from agencies, because we've been in contact with a lot of type of agencies. They are promoting multiple destinations. They observe that some destinations in Asia do have a great impact, let's say that, in the market. And I'm going to talk about that right away. Let's have a look at the next slide. After all the economic and employment talk, now we can talk about something that is on top of mind for every Chinese parent's cost. And we put together a quick comparison for undergraduate tuition and study tour pricing across all different destinations. And we are using data from New Oriental, which, as many of you may know, is one of China's most trusted education brands, with branches all over China. And we just grabbed the price from their website to make a horizontal comparison. Well, the exact figure may vary by institution. It might now goes align with what your institution is offering, but the real value here is in the comparison, because all the pricing come from the same platform. It gives us a clear view from a parent's perspective when they visit this platform. And we can see the difference are quite dramatic. Most affordable end, we have Japan, Malaysia. In the mid-range, we see Germany, parts of Europe, Hong Kong, and Australia. And slightly higher, Canada and Singapore. But when you get to the UK and US, the jump is huge. They're clearly in a price category of their own. So when we look at the next page, we will find out that we'll look at it later. A study tour program price in the UK or US might cost 2 to 3 times more than one in Japan or in Malaysia. But here, a full undergraduate degree, you're looking at a 6 to 7 times more. And in the case for the US, even up to 10 times higher. So remember what we mentioned before? Families, especially the middle class, they are becoming much more value conscious. So now we are seeing increased interest in lower cost destination like Japan and Malaysia, or those 2.2 models where students start their degree in China or in Asia, let's say the cheaper place, and then they transfer to their dream university, to a Western university later. At the same time, they are top tier universities in Asia too, like in Singapore, in Hong Kong, the National University of Singapore or the University of Hong Kong. They are gaining ground, and they offer international degrees and at a, let's say, much lower price. So the message from Chinese parents is clear. They still want international education, but now they are shopping smarter. And cost now play a much bigger role on their decision. And thanks to the transparency of information, they will make this comparison on those platforms, not only on New Oriental platform. When they talk with any agency, they will see the difference. And the same happened for study tour. This data also come from New Oriental official website, a platform that parents trust. And the price include everything, tuition, flights, accommodation, visa, and activity. And it might not goes align with what your what you are offering, but still it gives us a good sense of what family are actually seeing when they comparing different options. And to make it easier to compare, we broke down total cost into a weekly average and showing each destination's lowest, highest, and the average price. And again, Japan and Hong Kong offer the most affordable short-term options. Japan in particular is becoming a top contender, let's say, budget-friendly, culture familiar, and has a solid education infrastructure too. And Australia, the UK, Singapore, and Germany sits in a similar middle range. Notably, Australia and the UK show more consistent pricing, which suggests that these are more mature, stable products. And in contrast, at least for New Oriental, one of the top study tour promoter in China, Singapore and Germany have wider price gaps and fewer listed program on their website. So that's possibly indicating lower demand or less developed offering. And finally, we have United States remain the most expensive destination by far. On a separate note, you might notice that we only use New Oriental's program as sample, and they don't have any Canada program on the study tour website. So that's why we don't have any Canada price here. And it also echoes with what agencies share with us. Not much Canada study tour is promoted in the market due to the visa difficulties. I think that we can all agree on. And what does those two pages tell us while comparing the price? A big part of Chinese family become more price sensitive and they're digging deeper. They are comparing the price just like what we are doing now. And they are asking themselves, is this experience really worth it? That's why value, transparency, and a clear outcome are now keys. Japan is rising fast, and traditional destinations like the UK or Australia are still remaining attractive, and the US too. We need to clearly show why they are worth the extra investment. That's the point. And if to give any takeaway, today's middle class family aren't just looking for prestige. They are looking for smart, meaningful return. And that is the message we want to help the agencies or your partner agencies to convey to the market. And now finally, we come to the news and policy impacts. Following the topic of pricing and value, this is also a major factor that influence Chinese family choices, policy shifts, and current events. This can shape perspective just as much as the price, and right now they are having big impact. Let's start with the United States. The recent headline, like Trump posted student visa interview or votes to end OPT, really have raised serious concern among families. Whether or not these policies are really enacted, the uncertainty around visa and post-study work uncertainty is already causing hesitation. And there is the most recent news with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. We understand that students studying the US, when they transfer money, they need to pay more tax. And there are already agencies talking about that in the circle. Also, when we check on Canada, facing the similar challenge, except for it's just about perception. They are real issue with visa rejection and delays. The government is now capping study permission at 437,000 in 2025, including even master degree and PhD students. Add to that stricter language and work requirement that's becoming a tough choice for many. And on the other hand, the UK, we also listed some news. UK is also tightening policies like stricting dependence and adjusting post-study work, but it still feels more stable. It doesn't influence that much, at least in the perspective of Chinese students. And agency often describe the UK as the safest bet among English-speaking country, thanks to its clear, more consistent policy communication. And finally, Australia, however, is also becoming more restrictive, raising visa fees, reducing post-study work time, and the intent to introduce new caps and complaint checks. Families are noticing, and some are starting to rethink Australia as a destination. And now, on the second line, we listed Asia countries, and it's on the rise. Japan, Korea, and Malaysia moving to the opposite direction, streamlining visa, offering targeted policies for Chinese students, and positioning themselves as welcoming, supportive, and affordable alternatives. While Asia destinations are gaining attractions with simplified policies and competitive pricing, this doesn't mean that traditional destinations are falling behind. It means the landscape is shifting. For institutions in the UK, US, Canada, and Australia, this is not a setback, but a critical opportunity to adapt, to rethink. Your program is definitely highly valued among all the parents and students. What matters here now is how clearly your communication of your strength and how well you engage with the market. And by reinforcing agency relationship, ensuring the messaging is clear and locally relevant, and showcasing the strong career outcome, institution can remain competitive and trusted choice for Chinese families. And then finally, we are coming to the agency updates. Just update you a little bit about the methodology before we move to the map. A little summary about what we talked about earlier is that China's education market has changed. It is no longer this market where success comes easily or quickly. Today, we're operating in a landscape of high transparency, a wide range of competing education products, and a growing interest in non-traditional destinations that put new pressure on long-established markets like the UK, US, Canada, and Australia. However, we also understand that China is still far too important to ignore. The scale, steady economic development, the strong cultural emphasis on education, and the trend on international education continue to make it one of the most vital source market in the world. So the path forward is to adapt and act strategically, understand the market deeply, invest budget more precisely, and modernizing the outreach or partnering with the agencies who truly align with your goals. And that brings us to this agency market. For all the audience, if you know China international education market, you must know how agencies play a big role. For a study tour, no need to explain much. Some of the educators are even white labeled in China. The parents are placing their trust only to the agencies. And for long-term study, in fact, family often approach agencies before even choosing a study destination, which means that these agencies are really key influencers. And that's why at Bonnet, we've made it a priority to track and research agencies' behavior in China every year, both quantitatively and qualitatively. We've been monitoring this trend since 2012. And all the data we collect is firsthand, directly from our local team on the ground. And understanding agency is one of the most powerful ways to understand the Chinese market and to recruit more efficiently within it. And here, I'd love to share the China Education Agency distribution map with you. This map contains the active agencies distributed in 51 cities. This year, we sampled over 6,000 education-related companies. And from that, we confirm 1,231 are actively placing students abroad from 19 cities. But you can see on the map, the total number of agencies listed here is 15,000. And the reason is that we include another 300 agencies in another 32 cities, but it was updated 2022 to 23. But we put it here just to have a general view of the whole China agency landscape. And when we are talking about active agencies, they're not just offering language prep or any related services, but they are truly working in outbound recruitment. And this is really important because your partner if you partner with the agencies. If you partner with the right agencies, you gain the access to their student network, and they become your direct recruitment channel into the local communities. And given all the market trends and current environment, it is really important to choose wisely and to have as many trustable agencies as your partner as possible. And geographically, things remain fairly consistent if you have been following our update each year. Tier 1 city like Beijing, Shanghai still leads with strong agency activity. Guangzhou, Shenzhen follow closely, though their number are slightly low due to their regional overlap. And what is exciting is strengths of new Tier 1 cities. We can check it on Chengdu, Nanjing, Wuhan, and Zhengzhou. This area combine economic growth with a large student population. For the context, during last month, national Gaokao exam, the college entry exam in China, provinces like Henan, Guangdong, and Sichuan has the highest number of test taker in the country. So this means these are cities full of prospective students. And now, due to the time, we can only share the high-level agency map. But if you're in thinking, where can I find the best agency for UK program, or where can I find a partner for study tour? We also have that type of data, and we are going to have an analyze on that. If you want something detailed, just feel free to reach out. We'd love to dive deeper with you too. And here we zoom in to the China's Tier 1 cities, Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen, which are still the core of the international education market. Across these 4 cities, there are more than 5,000 companies that officially hold the license or qualification to operate in study abroad sector, which means they have the potential to be a student recruiting and sending agencies. In 2023, we identified and contacted over 339 agencies that were actively sending students overseas at the time in those Tier 1 cities. And this year, during our follow-up, we reach out to all of them again to see who's still in the game. And then the result is only 44% of the agencies are still alive. So you can see this breakdown in the pie chart here. Down there, the city breakdown. Each city show actually a similar retention rate. So this tells us more than half of the agency from last year are no longer active in the outbound education. And this highlights just how fast-moving and competitive the agency landscape is. And I think it's not a surprise for educators who are familiar with China. This rate is totally reasonable. And for educators, this indicates that we can't rely on the same partner year after year. We have to continuously monitor and refresh the network. And this is also exactly why Bona do this update every year. And this year, our team took a step further. We randomly selected and reviewed over 1,600 companies that newly established since December 2022 to understand where the market is actually heading next. And if you look at the map on the right, we compare the active agency in 2023 versus 24. And one thing stands out is that Beijing is seeing the most new agency growth. And so even though many agencies are dropping out, we can see new players constantly entering the market, especially in major cities. And that make a regular update and on-the-ground insight absolutely essential if you want to stay ahead of China's education sector. And then we can have a look at the type of programs agencies are promoting in 2025. And there has been a noticeable shift if you compare it with what's happening last year. Higher education is no longer the only focus. Many agencies are now diversifying into study tours, short terms, and K-12 placement. And this reflects a growing demand for more flexible and accessible options, especially after the year of travel uncertainty. Agencies, they are trying to find their way out too. This point will likely resonate with any study tour operator in the audience, especially those recruiting for English program or located in the UK or the US. In 2023 and 24, we saw a big surge in the demand that had been built up during the pandemic, creating a highly favorable market. And this was precisely why this market is boomed. And this is also why there are a lot of more agencies entering this market because they see this market boom, and they enter the space and take part in the opportunity. And when it comes to the city breakdown, Beijing and Shanghai showing a growth in interest in ELT, while higher education share is shrinking. And this might suggest that families are prioritizing prep and pathways. In Guangzhou, K-12 placement are now the fastest growing segment, and many agencies here are offering a full mix. They do everything, higher ed, short program, and K-12, showing a strong all-around approach. Shenzhen and Guangzhou, they still remain strong on higher education promotion, even as the sector grow. And then we can have a look at many of you might be very interested in the distribution of study destination promoted by agencies in Chinese tier 1 cities. Here we show a comparison between 2023 and 24 data. And what we see aligns closely with the broader trends we've already discussed. Australia's share rising, largely driven by its relatively affordable prices. The UK remains a top choice thanks to its prestigious education institution, visa stable, and also its reputation in the market. Meanwhile, we see that US has been seeing a significant decline in agency promotion. And now it's important to understand that agencies don't usually switch their preference or their promoted country overnight. Every agency, or let's say indeed each agent, they have their own area of expertise and familiarity. So they rarely change focus just because of some short-term fluctuation or policy shifts. So why are we seeing such a noticeable change in the data? The key reason is that many of the agencies in our sample this year were established after 2022. And these newer agencies, then they enter the market with the awareness of the evolving trends. So they set up their promotion strategy accordingly. That's why we can also see a clear picture of the market direction when including these fresh players. And one interesting detail worth pointing out is some of you might notice is a highly proportion of Singapore and Hong Kong promotion coming from Shenzhen-based agencies. We see Hong Kong a nice 43%. This is likely the geographic proximity and integration with the Greater Bay Area, education policy encouraging regional cooperation, large number of students, new immigrant families in Shenzhen who are particularly sensitive to their children's education, but have not had that financial means to pursue a long-term study in Europe or North America. So for many of those families, Hong Kong represent, let's say, middle ground options. And because Hong Kong offers strong education opportunity closer to home and with a lower overall cost. And then we can have a look at the new tier 1 cities. 15 cities form what you might call the second tier in terms of economic stress, population growth, and transport infrastructure. And every year, New Finance, that is the well-known financial media outlet, reassesses and updates this list, reflecting the latest urban development trends. So in our research, we revisited the agencies that were identified as active in 2022 across new tier 1 city 2. And then we find the retention rate is 22%. Notably lower than what is in tier 1 city. If you remember, it was 44%. And this suggests that in this new tier 1 city, the agency market is even more dynamic and fast changing. One reason could be that many agencies here are smaller in size and so have lower resilience to market fluctuation or economic pressure. And on the right side, you can see a map showing the distribution of agencies founded after December 2022 in these new tier 1 cities. And then if you just started to enter China market, it is usually safer and more effective to begin with the more stable tier one cities where the agencies, let's say, ecosystem is more mature and reliable. And if you have the resource and the bandwidth, and you can consider to expand your cooperation gradually to new tier one cities. And given the number of agencies there, we can imagine the demand of international program over there. And maybe even reach out to some tier two, tier three cities. In those cities, if you find the right one, they may surprise you. Of course, this strategy also depends heavily on the type of program and the destination you promote, and as well as your specific recruitment goals. And it is always safer to have more data, as much data as possible before you make a decision. And then we also have the data about the type of program that agencies promoted in new tier one city. And this also suggests the demand for different type of program in those cities. As you can see, higher education still dominates the market, especially in cities with a larger number of agencies. So if you're planning a recruitment trip to China soon, this might be a useful reference to tailor your visit or your conversation with your potential partners. And next, we also want to show you the study destinations, focusing on new tier one cities too. It's quite similar to tier one city, actually. UK remained the most popular destination, followed by Australia. Actually, in 9 out of these 15 cities, over 80% of agencies are currently promoting UK-related programs, showing the UK's really strong appeal. Due to this time limit, we cannot really elaborate on these points. You're realizing I'm going very fast. But if you're interested in knowing more about any of the cities, just feel free to reach out. And then we come to our last part about some agency interview. That's the goal here is to get a clear picture of the market sentiment. So we conduct this interview with 16 active agencies. They have recent student placement experience, and those agencies are some of those most engaged player in the market today. So when choosing agencies, we balance the location, the destination they're promoting, and program type focus too. Looking at the recruitment result between 2022 and 24, there is a mixed picture, if you can see. The bar chart here shows how agencies rate their own recruitment performance. We see some growth, we see some decline, and there are other reports to have no significant change. On the right, you see the overall market outlook. Not surprisingly, those with fewer students, they feel bad about the market, and those with more students feel good about the market. But what is interesting here is this sentiment doesn't strongly related with region or their location or their program type, the program type that are promoting. That is what is important. Like some of the agencies, despite the market fluctuation or economic slowdown, they still have a long-term vision and let's say agility. These are the kind of partners we recommend you to build relationship with, agencies that can navigate challenges and still find opportunity. And maybe now it's time to bring up our second poll question, because I think my speech has bored you a little bit. I've been talking a lot. Now it's time for you to click a little bit about what is your current strategy approach to Chinese student recruitment market. Are you going to increase your investment or maintain the same level or reduce? And what is the reason? I think it could be really a nice thing for the peers to look at what is the biggest percentage, like your perspective on China market. At the meantime, let's switch to the next page. When asked about their outlook, when agencies are asked about their outlook for the 2025 market, most agencies express neutral or concerned views, as they always do. And this is understandable because China's outbound education market is unlikely to experience any dramatic growth again in the short term, like it does before. That's why earlier we emphasized on the need for more strategic planning, precise marketing, and target budget allocation. On the right side, you can see that we also ask agencies about what they value the most when they select a overseas partner. At the top of the list is agency training. And this aligns with actually what our team has stressed repeatedly everywhere last year, is that agencies tend to promote programs they understand well. Sometimes commission even comes secondary to them because their primary goal is, on one hand, send students successfully, on the other hand, build a solid reputation. So regular training that equips agencies to act as your school's ambassador in China is really crucial because it ensures your school to be the first one come to their mind when they are advising students, and they will be very confident to talk about any detail about this school, and that's really helped the agencies when they talk with the students. And other key factors agency mentioned include program quality, frequency of school visit to China, having Chinese speaking staff, and marketing materials. I think all of that beside program quality, of course, is about localization. Localization makes it much easier for agencies to promote your program effectively. Imagine you have a WeChat account. I hope everybody knows WeChat is a platform. And then imagine you have an account and then you have some articles. And your partner agency only simply tap on the resend button to resend your article to their parents. Instead of making the whole article by themselves, that will largely encourage them to promote your program, outstanding others. And that, at the end, will lead to more exposure to students, and then to a better brand awareness, and then to a better recruitment result. And here, we are directly quoting some feedback from agencies regarding several key points. First one is the desire among students and families for traditional study destination remains strong. One agency even told me that I think it's a little bit exaggerated. Some parents, I believe it's only a small amount of parents, feels even a sense of shame to talk about it if their children study abroad, but it's outside these four top countries. However, this gives us the current, a little sentiment of the market and how important or how unshakable the position of the top four, let's say the traditional four study destination is. Given the current economic situation, we understand that only a portion of family can afford a high cost associated with destination like UK and US, but still the attraction is there. As a result, for higher education, more students may opt for local degree plus overseas experience program. I think if you know China market well, these words should not be strange for you. In fact, we recently complete a research on Chinese foreign cooperatively run schools, like N+N program, like one school in China, another school overseas. And then we found that this type of cooperated program in 2021/22 academic year, there were 580 Ministry of Education approved programs. And this year, this number has grown significantly to 1,367. These are joint programs between Chinese local university and overseas institution. They are different type of, they are a totally different type, but it also gives the student opportunity to study overseas, spend 2 years in China, which will save them a lot of budget. And their impact on the market is also considerable. But today's presentation, we will mainly focus on agencies. If you're interested in those school-to-school cooperation data, you can also contact us for that. And then secondly, regarding the policies, agencies inevitably bring up the topic of regulations, policies, and news. However, one agency share an insightful perspective with us. Policy is like a circle. It rises and it falls. It impacts, but it goes. Well, policies certainly influence student decision, but this effect tend to be temporary rather than permanent. And third one, when it comes to coping with the current market environment, many agencies describe their approach as a hibernation. They prefer to play it safe and avoid rash action in uncertain times. Instead, they use this period to deepen their knowledge of programs, accumulate resources, and seek higher quality partners. So when student recruitment values are lower, it actually creates an opportunity or window for both agencies and educators to explore new collaborations and build fresh relationships. And I think before we move to the next page, maybe we can bring up the result of our second poll question. Yes. Let me see. We have the most part, 51% are maintaining current level of investment and engagement. You're basically choosing, making the same choice than most of the Chinese agencies. We just keep it the same. And then we have 19% increasing investment. Yes, actually in a market like this, if you increase your investment, it's the right timing for you to get grounded. And we have also other options, 11% minimal activity to preserve existing presence. And then we also have audience saying that they're reducing. I think it doesn't matter your choice here. What matter is because you are, I believe in our audience, you are promoting different type of program, hopefully. I mean, in different study destination, and each of your program has your unique selling points. So it's very important to tailor the strategy based on what is the strong point in your program and what is also relevant to the market to understand what is the need and what parents and students values the most. That's the most important part. And then let's move on to the summary. To sum up, I quickly listed 6 key takeaways for navigating the Chinese market in 2025. First one, accept and adapt. China is no longer the easy, let's say, gold mine as it once was. So the market is still large, but and the potential is strong, but rising competition, tighter budget, and shifting destination preference means that we have to act differently, and it is time to adapt and fast. And second one is to refine your strategy, like what I just said, because one size fits all no longer works here. So use data to guide your planning, target the right cities, the right student segments, and use the right program types. Also, let the visa trends or agency insight or the family prioritize shape actually your recruitment approach and strategy. And the third one is that adapt strategy to affordability. You have to consider what the parents are thinking. Try to walk in their shoes a little bit because the economic pressure is real. Family, especially the middle class, are becoming more price sensitive. Make every dollar count. Let's say make every RMB count. Whether through more flexible program model or cost-effective channel like high-performing agencies. And the first one, to build trustworthy partnership. Agencies are still the backbone of the student recruitment in China, and I don't see that changing in any near future. So prioritizing the long-term partners who know the market and who adapt fast and share your values is very important. And just don't forget, regular training turns good agency into a great advocates. Fifth is to localize. As agency hoped, Mandarin speaking staff, Chinese language materials, and a visible presence on the ground really matters. And this small steps go a long way in building trust and standing out. Devil in the detail. And finally, diversify. Just don't limit yourself to tier 1 city or your existing partner. I know they're trustworthy, but you see how dynamic the market is. So explore the cooperation with new agencies, maybe with schools, with universities, or even look beyond China to other Asia source market. Follow the signal and then just be ready to pivot. And that's basically most of the part that I prepared to share today. I know I'm talking very fast because this result is really useful. I hope I can share everything with you guys. And then once again, if anything that you're more interested in, you can always email us, and then we will be happy to have a further discussion. And now I'm going to take a few questions. I will try to be quick. Don't take too much of your time. And if you have any questions, just feel free to tap here. Even if I cannot answer them here, we can also write an email. We can also have other Zoom calls or anything. Let me check. Do you have any information regarding specifically ERA4 code coming to the UK? I think this one I should write you on email later. I need to check with my colleagues. Are there any other popular destinations? Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jane. I think this question I can answer right away. I think there are a lot of people interested in this too, like popular study destination like Philippines, Malaysia. Yes, of course, and we also have a list for that too. Like we did a student survey and parent survey. Also, we asked agencies about that. The most frequent mentioned popular destination is Hong Kong, Japan, based on my memory, Hong Kong, Japan, Korea too, and Philippines, Malaysia was definitely on the list too, and because they have really cheaper product. Now it really depends on what type of program we're talking about here, but for a study tour, yes, those are popular destinations. Will you share the contact of these agencies? Actually, for all the 1,200 agencies we listed on the map, we have the personal contact with someone in the agency. I think around 30 to 50%. I'm just estimating the number. Is the CEO of the agency. We do have the contact, and if you're interested, you can also contact us. And Johnny, I see you mentioned you don't see any future increase in the Chinese market. What are you predicting in terms of enrollment trends? Like I think I mentioned this when I was talking about the visa. Like we are not seeing any future like big increase like what China experienced before in any near future in this market, because just like what I said, it's not that it's no longer the easy gold mine as it once was. So now it's just like we have to dig harder and we have to refine the strategy based on the market trends. And it only left me 5 minutes. I think I will have to write you guys email for the other questions, but really thank you for discussing with me. I'm really happy to have further discussion of this. Yes, you will, if you want, I see that somebody's asking share a copy of the slide. If you want a share of the slide, like the copy of the slide or the report of today to share with your colleagues, or just because I'm talking not that clearly, you want to watch it again, it's okay. You can just contact us. We'll be happy to share that with you too. And then finally, just before we wrap up for today, many of the data or statistics you saw today, like the student visa thing, that actually came directly from the Bonan Education platform. And this platform was built by our team over 2 years. So you don't have to spend hours piecing together reports and spreadsheets. It just brings student mobility data, market trends, and agency insight from China and other source market all into like one easy to use dashboard. And I can say from my own experience, personal experience, because I wasn't authorized to use this platform for a long time. When I prepared this presentation, it was really user friendly and it saved me a lot of time. And if you like to explore the data further, or you can just visit boneteducation.com and join our growing community of global educators there. And you have this little website over there. Or when you receive the copy of the slides, you can also have a clickable hyperlink. And one more tip is that if you like to stay updated without digging through endless media sources, you can sign up for the Bonet Market Monitor for free. And it delivers key industry news and policy updates straight to your inbox. That's perfect for a quick read with your morning coffee. Just recommend you guys to do that. So we are on time. Once again, thank you very much all for joining us today. I'm Susu from Bonet, and the Bonet Education team is always ready to support your recruitment efforts with reliable data and actionable market intelligence. We look forward to being your trusted partner in navigating the China market. Thank you again, and see you very soon.